we've seen the effects of fiscal policy. Having said that, I think what's a legitimate concern to anyone economist looking at this situation is again, we've seen it with the UK unemployment rate, the withdrawal of furlough schemes pretty much everywhere. So the danger here is that we get a premature withdrawal of fiscal policy, which we all understand why. Because whether you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer, whether you're the Treasury Secretary or the Finance Minister, you look at these numbers and you go, and you're scared by their magnitude. So the temptation is going to be to tighten fiscal policy early for good reasons. I think there is a lot more that the central banks can do. I actually think the intellectual leadership has been coming from the ECB. And the main opportunity, I think, there is actually, we've spoken about this briefly before, but this idea of dual interest rates, where actually they raise the interest rate on deposits and they reduce the interest rates on these targeted loans, which is the TLTRO scheme. The Fed should actually be looking at what the ECB has been doing and do it a lot more aggressively. So I'm not in the camp that says the central banks are done. I actually think there's some more effective stuff they could be doing. And I think they could become more important in the next 12 to 18 months, as there's a material probability that fiscal policy unwinds.
Eric, that's a fascinating view and certainly draws contrast to many who come on the show and say that this is the end of the road for monetary policy so far as it can stimulate growth. Yes, it can obviously put a floor under financial conditions, but not necessarily stimulate further from here. Why hasn't the Fed gone down this path of dual rates in the past? You say the ECB has been a thought leader in this way. What's been the reluctance on the side of the Fed?
To be perfectly honest, I don't think they understand it fully. I think the dual interest rates that the ECB have introduced, which are monetary rocket fuel, you don't hear many people talking about it. I actually think because it's relatively complicated, because it involves the TLTRO scheme and tiered reserves, the Fed has actually neither. So most central banks now have tiered reserves. I won't bore you with the complications, but they're a very, very important innovation. Here's the point about dual interest. Keep it really simple. What's to stop the ECB launching a TLTRO at -5% fixed for 5 years? Now, tell me that wouldn't have a huge effect. Now, I know, Steve, we might worry about debt levels, but that could even be linked to the repricing of loans. It could be targeted at specific sectors, say the green energy, with the sort of, with the approval of the Commission, et cetera, the European Parliament. So my point is, once you have a TLTRO scheme, people seem to have forgotten this, you can effectively put the interest rate anywhere you want.